here's the question. What is your favorite strain? And
you know, it's interesting you brought up Blue Dream because I do like Blue Dream. But I haven't been able to find like just a solid Blue Dream in a while. So they've hybrided that one out too. And I remember, you know, when I first moved to California, it was all about the Blue Dream. And it was beautiful. But now it's kind of hard to find. I am more of a sativa type person, but not the strong sativa. I like a sativa hybrid, you know, sativa dominant hybrid. Something about indicas don't really sit well with me for some reason. So I do like the fruity ones. I just got some Tropicana from CBX, and it was funny because it was you were just saying some of the key words. You know, it had a fuel smell to it, but it was also very fruity with like lemon and this and that. And so I was like, oh, this smells so good, but it stinks so good too. and so I do like the hybrids. I also really enjoy growing my own, Ophelia. This is something that I think needs to be part of everybody's garden, just like you grow your tomatoes and your bell peppers and whatnot. I believe that everybody should grow at least a few plants in their backyard, just so you can A, enjoy them, and B, have a little something for the winter for yourself.
It's like canning peaches, isn't it?
It is. And you just put a little bit up for winter and then you have it. I love home grow. And yes, I grow it outdoors. And so I think that that's the next space too. I mean, when we talk about recreational cannabis, as medicine folks, we talk about healthy recreation, and gardening always comes into that conversation. Gardening is healthy recreation. There's something about growing your own food, something about growing your own medicine. And I love the fact that we can do that here in California. I also love the fact that as defined, cannabis is not defined as a food or a drug, but an agricultural commodity. And I think that that's going to help move things forward in the future as well, to kind of get it from one state to the other. If we can get these other folks to realize, hey, in your states, don't define it as a food or a drug, because that puts us in a pigeonhole, that this agricultural crop that can be so good for everything. And, you know, and I hope to one day be able to go to the grocery store and just buy cannabis leaves as part of my greens with my arugula and my spinach, you know, and be able to use it in that way and have it so normalized that you can buy it in the grocery store fresh.
You raised a really good point. So remind me to ask you this question about sativas and hybrids and indicas. But you talked about growing. When I first started in 2015, I met this beautiful white witch in San Luis Obispo, and I wanted to do her portraits for our collection, for our stock photography. And she grabbed my hand and she said, Ophelia, you are not in this business until you grow an effing plant. So she went in the back, brought this big ass mason jar of seeds, and she said, open your hand. And so she poured it in. She says, grow this. If you can grow this, show me a picture. You can come back and take my photo. Right. So I grew 23 plants. I got Jorge Cervantes, Encyclopedia Cannabis, going through this thing, going through Reddit, everywhere, right? And there was one thing I read that drove me nuts. It said, the best time to harvest your plants is before the sun rises, right? And I thought, okay, this is way before I really realized what was going on, right? I was basically hoodwinked and pranked. So when I was ready to harvest, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Sun's still down, good, you know. So I'm out there chopping all this stuff. 23 plants, there's a lot of plants. And then I'm thinking, okay, do I trim now or trim later? I mean, it was a pile. So that was one of my first forays. And then I got so much crap from people posting pictures, don't hang it there. No, it should be like this. And I thought, oh my God, I finally got it down. So my foray into growing plants was being pranked at harvesting at 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh, and also bugs. I was out there with 2 bricks. Every time I saw those big ass green caterpillars, those big ones that can just, I was going, I mean, it's horrible. Okay. I know it's killing stuff, but I was going, 2 bricks. Okay. So here's my question for you. New York, East Coast, hybrid, indica, sativa, mythology, or is it really everyone's genetics that reacts to a different strain, whether it's a hybrid or indica and sativa. Because you mentioned earlier that indica is not your thing, but sativa is yours. Mine is the opposite. Indica is for me, but sativa is not.
Yeah. No, and I want to be real clear because boy, I've literally spoke at a medical conference before and I said the word sativa, indica, hybrid, and I got heckled from a doctor in the crowd that was like, oh, it's no such thing. And I'm like, oh no. So I use it just because that's the terminology that's used in the industry. But to be really clear, the difference between cannabis profiles, cannabinoid profiles, or strains, the difference between strains is really the terpene profile. So it's all about, is it fruity? Is it gassy? Is it, earthy? That's what determines a sativa from so it's the terpene profile. For me, I really like the fruity ones, which you see that are kind of uplifting, which we would classify maybe as sativa. Some of the purples I can handle, which I kind of, those tend to be a little bit more relaxing for me. But, my husband really loves this Gorilla Glue number 3 because he smokes just one hit or two and he goes right to sleep. I take a couple hits of Gorilla Glue number 3, which I would consider in my mind as an indica. And I lay there, my body is totally relaxed, but my brain goes, so I'm laying there just thinking, and that is not cool for me. If I'm going to be thinking, I want to have the energy to get up and do things. So, strains are really interesting because it is that terpene profile, less so than even the cannabinoid profile. And so it really comes down to the smelling of it. So for years, patients would say, how do I know which strain works for me? I said, smell it. Our olfactory sense is the only sense that we have, only one of our 5 senses that doesn't go through our spinal cord. It goes directly to our brain. That's why when you smell something like cookies, it reminds you of grandma, or roses, it reminds you of your mother. And so you can have these memories from smell. So you can trust, your nose knows, you can trust it. So I always tell patients, just smell the flower. If it makes your mouth salivate, if it's like nom, 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 so good, that one's for you. If you smell it and go, ew, that stinks, not for you. I mean, it's quite simple and elementary, but it works. And so if someone's out there watching this and they go, I don't know if I'm a sativa indica, I don't know what, just smell it. If it tastes good and feels good to you, it will be good. If it's not your thing, then just skip on it and do something else.
You just gave the most amazing business plan for a brand or a retail shop opening up on the East Coast in New York.
You need scratch and sniff. You need scratch and sniff.
That, or you have to have the sniffing jars right there, because before Prop 64, you could go into a dispensary, you had that big old cookie jar, and you could sniff it. And really, because that's how I found Wedding Cake and Russian Assassin were the bomb for me, right? Because I sniffed it. So really what you're proposing is an amazing retail business plan, is to focus on that bud tender to teach people about smell and terpenes. It's to walk away from, well, I'm an indica or hybrid or sativa person. No. Oh my God, that is so genius. You should be in New York right now doing this.